this tutorial, we're going to look at reasoning paths in Lamplight. Reasoning paths are part of the Lamplight Flame Plan, and they're designed to help you lay out a line of thought clearly, especially when you're working through scripture, doctrine, questions, objections, and responses. Instead of keeping everything in your head, or burying the whole argument in one long note, a reasoning path lets you place each part of the thought on the screen. You can see the main idea, the supporting points, the questions that need to be answered, and the place where the reasoning lands. To begin, open the Bible Reader menu and choose Reasoning Paths. This opens the Reasoning Paths workspace. At the top, you'll see different places to work from. The Mine tab is where you'll find the paths you've created. Shared is where you'll find paths other people have shared with you. Published is where you can browse public paths. And My Reviews is where you can return to reviews you've written on published paths. If you already have several paths, search, filters, sorting, pinned items, and favorites help you find the one you want quickly. You can also archive older paths so they stay out of the way without deleting them. For this walkthrough, we'll open the example path called Faith and Works are Complementary, Not Contradictory. When the path opens, you'll see a visual map made up of connected step cards. Each card represents one part of the reasoning. The lines between cards show how one step leads to another. The most important card is the thesis. That's the main idea the whole path is built around. In this example, the thesis is, faith and works are complementary, not contradictory. Everything else in the path helps explain, support, test, challenge, or conclude that idea. Each step card has a type, such as acclaim, support, objection, response, synthesis, or conclusion. Don't worry about memorizing those. The point is simple. Each card has a job. Acclaim moves the thought forward. Support gives it weight. An objection raises a real challenge. A response answers that challenge. A synthesis brings several lines of reasoning together, and a conclusion shows where the reasoning lands. As you read the example, you'll see that the thesis branches into more than one claim. One claim says salvation is by grace through faith, not by works. Another says genuine faith produces works. That's one of the strengths of reasoning paths. You're not forced into one straight line. You can branch out when a subject needs more than one line of thought. Now look at the connection labels. You may see words like supports, challenges, responds to, clarifies, or converges. These labels tell you what kind of move is happening. So when a support card connects to a claim, it's strengthening that claim. When an objection connects to a claim, it's pressing against it. And when a response connects to an objection, it's answering it. This is especially helpful for serious Bible study because it keeps you honest. A good path doesn't hide the hard parts, it names them. In this example, the path includes the objection that James says a person is justified by works. That objection matters because it seems to challenge the faith alone claim. Then the path moves into a response. The response explains that James and Paul are addressing different problems. So instead of flattening the issue into a quick answer, the path lets you see the question, the tension, and the answer in order. To add to a path, use the plus button on a step card. Lamplight will suggest sensible next steps based on where you are. For example, after a claim, you might add support, an objection, or context. After an objection, you'll usually add a response. You can also adjust the map visually. You can zoom, move around, and arrange the cards so the structure is easier to follow. If you don't want cards moving by accident, keep graph positions locked. When you're actively rearranging the map, unlock it, make your changes, and then lock it again. The Selector tool also helps when you need to work with more than one card at a time. If you want to edit a step, open the Card drawer. The Details drawer is where you work with the title, short summary, step type, confidence, and the fuller reasoning behind that step. There's also a Notes tab in the Details drawer. This is where you can link study notes you've already written in Lamplight. That's useful because the map itself should stay clear. Longer quotations, observations, and background material can live in your notes, while the reasoning path stays focused on the flow of thought. When a step has linked notes, you can open them from the step. That gives each step in the path a connection back into your study material. Now let's look at a different way to read the same path. From the path options, choose Open Outline Viewer. The Outline Viewer turns the visual map into a clean reading view. Instead of moving around the map, you can follow the path step by step in order. This is useful during a conversation, a Bible study, sermon preparation, or teaching prep, because it lets you walk through the reasoning without rearranging anything. Reasoning paths also support sharing. If you want one specific person to read a path, use Share. Add their email address, then decide whether they should be allowed to save a copy. The shared path is view only for them, so they can't change your original work. But if save a copy is allowed, they can make their own editable copy and continue working on it. Publishing is different from sharing. Sharing is for specific people. Publishing is for public reading. When you're ready, choose Publish. Lamplight creates a public version of the path that readers can find in the Published tab. You can choose categories, and you can decide whether readers may save a copy from the published view. If you keep editing your own path later, those edits don't automatically change what readers see. Publish again when you're ready to update the public version. And if you want to remove the public version, use Unpublish. In the Published tab, you can browse public reasoning paths, search, use category filters, open the details, view the visual map, or read the outline. Published paths can also have ratings and reviews. If you're reading someone else's published path, you can leave a review. And the My Reviews tab lets you return to reviews you've written, so you can update or delete them later. Another helpful feature is versions. As your path develops, you can create snapshots at a point in time. Open Versions to preview a snapshot, restore it into the current path, or restore it as a new path. That's helpful when you're making major changes and want a way back to an earlier shape of the argument. Finally, let's look at export. When a path you own is ready to become a written piece, choose Export to Document. You can name the document, choose a folder, and decide what to include: step titles, summaries, full reasoning, and linked notes. You can export the whole path, or choose only the parts you want. Lamplight will also show warnings if something in the structure may need attention before the document is created. This is one of the most useful workflows in reasoning paths. You can begin with a visual study map, refine the thinking, attach notes, read it as an outline, and then turn it into a document for a lesson, paper, sermon draft, discussion guide, or handout. So that's the heart of reasoning paths. They help you think visually. You can state the main idea, build claims, add support, face objections honestly, answer them carefully, bring several lines together, and keep everything connected to your wider study in Lamplight. In the next tutorial, we'll continue with the document library.